Here we are, guys. Elemental Shaman point of view, but we're going through the Black Rook Hold. I wanted to do another one with the LE Shaman here, just so you can see a little bit more on how it's playing out. We've done a little bit of changing. Brief flash of the talents of what I was using. To talk on the Shaman itself for right now, single target, it does great. And then you've got the multi-dotting perspective. It does really good also. They've really done a huge change to where lightning bolt overload is doing huge damage. And again, the mastery's reverted back to the way it was in Wrath. I'm sorry, not Wrath, but Warlords of Draenor. Not Warlords of Draenor either, guys. Wow. Warlords of Draenor is where they screwed it all up, and they gave us that other mastery. It was alright, but it really killed off the niche of what the Elemental Shaman had, giving multi-strike to everybody. And now it's back to where Overload is basically multi-strike on certain abilities, and it works wonderful. Few key points to end up looking at with the Elemental Shaman as we end up going through is, yes, Earthquake is still a big deal. They've made it to where it's a lot better to end up using. You can see Flame Shock, it's up on everything. I actually took a talent that increased the damage of Lava Burst, and also ended up making it to where every time you cast Lava Burst, it naturally spreads your Flame Shock. It worked really good. It gave you a lot of procs, and since the recent build, it actually ended up, they've increased the damage a bit. Since I did the first video in the Dark Heart Thicket with the Elemental Shaman, and it's increased the damage of Lava Burst to where it's actually useful again. So it's good. They're doing great in all forms, and depending on how you spec your artifact weapon is going to depend on how well you're doing in each department. Now back to the Black Rook Hold. This is the first boss. Really cool looking Raven Lord kind of deal. If you play any HOTS, it really reminds me of the Curse dungeon, or the Curse one where you pick up the curses. And you can see a lot of Switch gameplay in this X-Pack compared to what the rest of their games have been bringing, and it's really kind of a nice little flair just seeing all of Blizzard in their different games. But this guy, he doesn't do too much. You can see that he's putting out these little scythes. You don't want to stay in them. You don't want to be too close to the wall because they can trap you against the wall and kill you. Tanks, you're going to want to end up tanking this thing away from the group. It does a full 180, basically straight line across cleave. The further back against the other wall you got, the more room your DPS are actually going to have to play. So in the center of the room is not a good spot. And you see the Hunter just got hit by huge damage. You don't want to be there. Nowhere near in front of this boss. The other ability that he's going to end up doing, he's going to put a debuff on somebody, and you can see right here on the left hand side where this guy is just traveling and bringing all these explosive. It does a lot of explosive damage, but you see the effect way before it actually does the damage. You can keep it grouped up way better than what the Hunter did, but it doesn't matter because it goes through, it blows up real quick. And you can see that's the way it should be grouped. Real nice and tight. Just move over a little ways and then continue moving as you see the next one appear. Nothing hard there. First boss, absolutely easy. It was a joke. It's really nothing hard. This whole dungeon is linear. Basically, you start off going in a line to get to the first boss, and then you start going up a tower. And that's it, guys. You keep proceeding up this tower, and there's no off-branching, nothing like that. It's just basically first, second, third, and then final boss. Which we're actually coming into some more trash packs here. Killing off the one wandering range dad. It does kind of the same mechanic as on Zol, though. You've got the shadow apparition things that end up coming out, and they do the little void stomp. Same exact mechanic from that guy. And again, we had a lot of really good damage in here. 2 shamans. I believe the other shaman is elemental or enhancement. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't paying too much attention to him. But I am running as elemental. And then we had the Hunter. And you'll just see how quick this stuff just nukes off. Huge damage. This is a level 110 dungeon. And it is scaled proportionally. I don't have the... I got a bit more artifact power than probably some of them on my LE Shaman because it is my main on live. And I enjoy the hell out of it. I really enjoy the fact that they've taken the cooldown off of your shocks and used the Maelstrom to depend on how long your Flame Shock lasts and how much damage your Earth Shock good change, real good change. It allows us to actually swap targets without having the life choice of, is this thing going to last long enough for me to end up using Flame Shock on it, or should I just leave it off? That should never be the case, because that's 50% increased damage. And now they've reverted it back to where instead of every being a critical strike every single time with it, it's when you put the damage on there, it does the Flame Shock. It does increase the crit again. It makes it to where you're constantly using your Elemental Focus, which is back, by the way. It increases the damage of the next 2 spells you end up doing every time you cause a crit. This is a mini boss that's in here. He didn't really do much, but you can see the numbers that are just floating off. Chain Lightning, absolutely insane. It looks like the other Elemental Shaman, or the other Shaman is Elemental also, so this stuff doesn't last too long with all of us. And I do have myself spec'd for more of a single target rotation, unlike, it looks like the other one's spec'd for actual AoE. So that may be another reason why it's going down so quickly. But the damage, either way you spec on this, you're not looking at too much of a difference in gameplay. 3 or more targets, obviously you're going to want to use Chain Lightning. 2 or more targets, keep your Earthquake down. Single target, basically you're going to want to just do your normal with the Flame Shock and run your normal single target that you are on live right now. I do have Elemental Blast, and the reason for that is they have buffed it up. The extra stats are looking really nice, but there's a chance that right there you can see it all on my counters, on my buffs. I have both stacks, and you can actually get Elemental Blast to not multi-strike but overload and hit twice and give you 2 stacks of the buff. Really on the overpowered side right now, guys, but really enjoyable. Your artifact weapon, its basic concept is you're going to want to use this thing on heavy AoE pulls. If you end up using it on heavy AoE, it's going to, what it does from the beginning actually, it's going to empower your next 3 lightning bolts or chain lightnings to automatically overload. They're going to overload no matter what, and they're going to do 200% increased damage. This is huge, considering that lightning bolt overload is actually in the top 3 of almost every dungeon, every pull that I've done. Lightning bolt overload is right at the top in damage, guys. Huge, real huge stuff. Lava Burst is up there now that they've done the change to it. It was really weak in the beginning when I did the first video through the Dark Heart Thicket, but it's great. It works good. Second boss here, Demon Hunter. They're doing a lot of Demon Hunter bosses. I hope this doesn't grow old too fast. She does a few basic mechanics. She does one where she does like a triple tap to tanks, and then she does this fire lines. Basically, she targets people, and if you stay further on the outside edge of the room, you can actually get this to where it kites all the way around. You'll see that in a second, and it stays right up against the ledge. It's fairly easy. Really tiny room to end up being in. You do have a chance of resetting her if someone gets locked out, because she will target somebody, she'll run outside, and then it'll reset the boss. So you want to make sure everyone gets inside, but just keep an eye out. You'll see the fire lines here in a second. The other thing she ends up doing, really she doesn't do anything too big. There's that big hit I was talking about, mitigated well like a pro from the Demon Hunter. And the other thing she does is she flies up and she takes a flight form. You can still DPS her during this, and she brings out an ad. We completely were able to ignore the ad, just burn her down, and then get the ad after she was already dead. They need to do something like a damage reduction while she's in flight, or make her immune to damage. Something that'll make you focus on the ad during the fight. Here it comes right now. Here comes the ad, but you'll see she'll be dead. She does this I-beams. It randomly targets somebody. Nothing. That phase should have done something else. You should have been able to kite the ad while just or tank the ad while being able to kite the I-beam. Would have made that fight way better, but instead we just finished her off and completely negated the I-beam mechanic. So that could use a fix. Real big fix there. Running back into this, I mean, the Elemental Shaman's playing wonderfully, guys. If you enjoy Ellie live right now, not a lot of people do. I've stayed true to it. I've stayed true to the class. And it looks like in Redemption we're getting a good solid buff to us. Our damage is everything I've logged. I've been on top of the meters, and I've seen a lot of Elemental Shamans on the alpha that are currently doing the same, just because it's finally our time to shine again. They took it away from us a long time ago. Well, this whole last expansion, they made us worthless because they took away the multi-strike, and they gave it to everyone else. And then they give us this stupid Molten Earth stuff. The spell looked great, but it played horrible. Nothing there. And finally we're back. We're back to our original mastery of Elemental Overload. That's basically multi-strike. And no one else has got this. This is just us. This is our pro. This is our way to go. And they gave us Elemental Focus back, so every time we crit, which if played right, your Lava Burst is going to be your trigger for this, which causes the next two spells to be increased by, I believe it's 50% or 20%, somewhere along there. I can't remember. They've adjusted it a few times, but we'll see what it's at live. Just know that critting is good, but you'll automatically crit with Lava Burst, so it's not as high of a priority as you'd think. Looking at this, I'm saying stats are probably going to be back to Mastery and then Haste as your main stats. You're going to want to end up collecting those as much as possible. And again, guys, if you use your artifact weapon correctly, it's on a 1-minute cooldown. It's going to empower your next 3 lightning bolts. Absolutely wonderful. You can end up getting this thing to where it triggers, and you can place it just right to where you can always have it empowered with Elemental Focus and do extra single target damage. AoE, you can end up using it and just cast 3 chain lightnings. If you've got the extras, you'll really do well. Always on cooldown, guys, to get the full benefit. Elemental Blast, you're going to want to use it on cooldown just to get the full benefit. If you don't use it on cooldown, you might want to try one of the other abilities if it's becoming too hard in your rotation in that talent tree, just to get it figured out and straightened out. I will do a better video on the Elemental Shaman, but I wanted to talk over it as we kind of went through some of this trash here and just give an update of what the alpha is looking like after a few changes, and we've gotten a couple different builds in. But they're looking strong. AoE is strong. You can see the chain lightning just overload, and you're back to a solid, crazy DPS. Great AoE. The new lightning bolt spell, a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't look like a lightning bolt. No, it doesn't look like a lightning ball. It does look like a lightning bolt now, unlike what it was before. Before, it looked like a ball of lightning. And the spell's lightning bolt, guys, not lightning ball. So let's stick to it. Third boss in here. They've really nerfed this guy down. He does some huge damage to the tank. He hits really hard, but it looks like they've done a quick change. He also does that knockback with some AoE to keep the healer from falling asleep, at least in normal here. They've done a lot of nerf into this dungeon, guys. They've really padded it out and adjusted it for a casual setup, which is good because it was a little too hard for a normal casual group. The other thing he's going to do, you see the green beam off to the right hand side. He's being fixated by a gargoyle, and this gargoyle is basically going to run a green line. You can see it right there. It gives you plenty of notice to move. Run a green line of crap across there. Now anytime someone walks across it, they are going to do damage to themselves. It's just a regular old pool of shit you don't want to be in. What makes it interesting is how you end up setting this stuff down and how badly you're going to cut off the rest of the group if they're going to take unnecessary damage, and the targeting. This can get tricky. Sometimes you can lay it really well. Other times it's like, okay, we're screwed. Nothing's going to happen. With the full range group here, it was better for us to actually set it between the boss and the rest of us because of the knockback. The knockback is going to be the main thing that causes damage. You can see another one here. As long as we stayed behind this, every time we got the knockback, we were okay. Simple stuff, guys. Just you got to think on the fly and with your group comp how you're going to end up playing it. But not a hard fight. Not at all. Not anymore. It's not hitting half as hard as it was in the prior builds for this dungeon. So, that being said, guys, just enjoy the fight. Lots of health on this guy. He does do some good damage. It really is it's a good fight all the way around. But, again, single target rotation for Ellie. If you play one live right now, it's not much difference. It's going to be basically the same thing, except you're going to be timing in your your Stormkeeper, which is your artifact weapon, and then you're also going to be, I'm using Elemental Blast in this build just because it's working so well. And the other thing that you're going to want to end up doing, or that you don't have to do anymore, is actually play the totem game. You don't have to keep that fire totem down to maximize DPS unless you take the totems in the level 1 or level 15 talent tree, which all that is just a general buff to you. I ended up going with more of the shock play than anything else, so the shock in Lava Burst. I felt that was a little more enjoyable than controlling the totems. That was one of the things that got a little excessive for a while there, but most of the totems are gone. They've been moved to the PvP talent trees. So keep that in mind, guys. You'll end up seeing a lot of this stuff popping up when I do the regular video on them and get it passed on to you guys exactly how this is playing out. But I want to wait a little longer, and again, just touching up on it as we go through here. The trash in this place was really weak. There was really nothing too bad to worry about. Even in prior builds, it really wasn't that bad. It was just a lot of trash and a long corridor, basically, of nothing. Lots and lots of linear crap in this. And I see what they're going for, and you can hear the music in the background. It's to fit the mood of this place. It's really a dreary dungeon. It looks good, but it's very cramped. If you're claustrophobic, this dungeon's going to drive you absolutely bonkers because of it. No major changes, guys. I can't stress it enough, though, when it comes to this stuff. Remember, this is alpha. They can still be doing tuning. They might have overtuned the first time, undertuned this time. They'll get it right the next time. But again, normal dungeon. This is made to be easy. It is not made to be super hard like the original setup. I mean, even on the original setup, this dungeon was not that hard. They've tuned it down quite a bit. But dungeons like the Archway, which still has a lot of damage to it, but it's a little bit weaker. What's the other one? Maw of the Damned. That one started off absolutely crazy, and it's been weakened down. There's a few dungeons that I actually still haven't even tried yet. I haven't even been in Neltharian's Lair, and I want to get into that one and get some more information out to you guys, but we're coming up on the last boss, and he's a two-phase fight. He starts off normal. You see him in this, you know, the Raven Crest armor here, and it works for him. It's fairly bland, though. You want to stay out of the beams. You'll see the other guy running around casting the crap and going into the beams, and then they'll merge into this humongous demon-style creature here in just a second, and it'll take you into phase 2. But there's nothing to really worry about in this phase, just the beam, and it's really easy to avoid. Now you can see the Ravencrest guy, he died, the other guy took him over, and we get this huge buff. That's why everyone's health dropped down. You get 300% increased stamina, 300% increased damage, and 300% increased healing. That's the only way you're going to get this guy down, because he has a huge damage pool. This is a second major ability that he's going to end up doing, and it's just a simple run counterclockwise, because he's going to do this beam stuff. Really easy to avoid. The other one is, you can see on the ground there is a pool of, well, I just stepped in it, the pool of green, and if you're in that, it's going to put you to sleep until you take damage or the pool moves off of you. Yeah, this thing can mess you up, especially on the whole second deal where you're running around in circles. Then you've got Shadow Volley. It just basically ends up doing some minor AoE damage to everyone. Really interesting fight, really long fight, guys. The damage itself and the way it phases back and forth, it's hard to keep up with this guy. You want to save your lusts and everything for this spot. Once you end up getting into this for the extra damage, you try and get this phase down sooner instead of wasting it on the first part, because the first part's really bland, super easy. But this will make a healer go if you end up getting caught in too much stuff. It is survivable, being that it's normal, but it's still very mana consuming, because you do have a bit more damage going out here. A little more damage on the tank. If people are getting caught in these beams, they're getting more damage. And then you're also looking at a lot of damage coming on, you know, just in general. I mean, the AoE starts ramping up a little bit more. Not too bad, but they're going to be working a little bit harder than Phase 1, so definitely use your lust here. Guys, by far, this dungeon is pretty good. It's very linear, and there's a lot of trash, but the trash is easy enough. You don't have to worry too bad. It's not like some of them to where there's less trash packs and more actual damage coming off the trash. So it's not as skilled in these trash pulls. It's basically going to be like a current WoD dungeon where you grab everything and you just nuke it down as quick as possible. They do have some mechanics that will merge together if you pull too much and kill you. But again, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe if you did, and share it to your friends. Thanks, guys.